You're with Newsmakers. My guests are National's Amy Adams and Labour's Brendon Burns. It's arguably the most anticipated budget in decades. In fact, I think some observers have drawn comparisons with a certain budget in 1991. Brendon, if you are a betting man, will GST be raised to 15%?
Yes.
Would you agree, Amy?
Well, I don't have the answer to that. The Finance Minister will tell us on the 20th of May, Mike. You'd have to wait.
If GST was to be raised to 15%, why won't the sky fall in?
Well, I think GST actually is one of the fairest, flattest, most equitable taxes we have. It's a tax on consumption, which I think is absolutely the right message to send. But the most important thing is that will be matched. The Finance Minister has made it very clear that any rise would be matched by a corresponding drop in income tax rates, so that there will be compensation across the board, not just for high income earners, for superannuitants, for beneficiaries, for low income earners. There will be a corresponding drop in income tax to match that. So this is not about more revenue for the government. It's about changing the focus of our tax system so we encourage work and growth and getting ahead and put more of an emphasis on taxing consumption.
And that will be the test in the minds of the voter, no doubt. Why does Labour want to continually sock the so-called rich?
We're not trying to sock the rich. We're saying we want an equitable tax system, which is broadly in place at the moment. If the GST is going to be compensated all the way through the food chain, why would the increase happen? The increase is happening because alongside the GST increase will come a cut in top personal tax rates, a second cut, because there's already been one, down to probably 33 cents in the dollar from 38. And that will benefit those on the top end. And consumption tax, GST, does actually hit those most on the bottom end of the scale. And 76% of people in my electorate earn less than $40,000 a year. The people who will benefit from the tax packages, I'm sure we will see announced by the Minister of Finance on May the 20th, are those in the top 7% above 70,000, and most particularly those in six-figure incomes.
Would you agree that if Labour took GST off food, that would mark an extraordinary departure from the consensus that seems to have prevailed for, well, decades, that you can't cherry-pick GST?
Well, I think all that's being indicated at the moment is we're prepared to have a look at this, because it's 23 years since GST was introduced. Who knows if it was absolutely the right thing to do exactly in that form? Maybe there is a chance to have a look at things. So that's what I think we're signalling is appropriate, as we signal we want to have a look at monetary policy, because that's not exactly working to New Zealand's interests at the moment either.
So that's another area they've walked away from consensus on. But, I mean, the thing with GST that you have to remember is that it is a flat, fair system. And when you look at the model in Australia, while taking it off food has some popular appeal, I can see that that's a popular thing for people. Actually, in Australia, it's been a disaster. It hasn't worked well. No one knows where the lines are. And more money is spent administering that division than almost in collecting it. And I think what you've got to remember is that what we've said is, if GST goes up, it will be matched by drops in income tax. What Labour is saying is that they will keep the GST up, and they will also hike your income tax back up. So they're saying high income earners in the top bracket will go back up, but they'll keep the GST rise. You watch.
We have not committed to lifting the
15%
rise because we don't know what the economic circumstances, we do not know what are the other tax changes that National will introduce. We've said we'll look at it, and as part of that, we'll also look at the whole system of the tax and where the costs are falling. But look, most countries in the world that have a consumption tax like GST do have exemptions. And I think it's appropriate to say, let's see what the rest of the world is doing. Let's see if there is a way to modify this so it works in the interests of people on lower incomes, rather than the current tax system with the changes coming, which will benefit those at the top.
I've got about 20 seconds left. Where is the X the tax bus?
Probably back in a bus depot up in Auckland.
We will look forward to May 20 with much anticipation.
Yeah, it'll be a great day.
Thank you very much for joining us. Good to see you both.
Thanks, Mike.
Labour's Brendon Burns and National's Amy Adams. Thank you very much for your company. We'll catch up soon. Good night.